Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to another edition of Arsenal Sports, and today we are talking Duke Basketball's 2016 recruiting class. So, recently they got a huge boost. They landed point guard, shooting guard Frank Jackson from Utah. He's 6'4", 200 pounds, and he's an underrated athlete. This guy's had a tremendous climb from his freshman year in high school. He used to be kind of chubby, and he's kind of transformed his body, and now he's pretty athletic, and he's moved up into the top 15 in the class. It had been talked about for a while that he'd been looking at Duke, but after his recruiting trip there, he said he really felt comfortable there, and it was a different vibe that he got at any other school, and I think that's why he ended up choosing Duke. If you remember, he used to be a BYU commit, but he decommitted after the verbal and after he got better as a player and he made himself more available and he had more options with other teams, which was a smart move for him because I understand the reason. Yes, you gave him your verbal, but he wasn't as good of a player as he was now. So it was just a different world for him to look at. And he's already announced that he's going to pass up on his Mormon mission, so he is going to go straight to Duke. That was a possibility in the beginning, but it was pretty clear that once he had opportunity to play at a big-time college, he wasn't going to go on that mission. Now, the question for Frank Jackson is he going to play right away? He's a very complete player. He's more of a shooting guard than a point guard, but he can shoot the three, he can score in transition, he can even score in the mid-range, which is a rare thing for high school players nowadays. But who's still going to be at Duke? Is Luke Kennard? Yes, he's going to be there. That's going to be minutes at the 2. Is Matt Jones? Yes, that's going to be minutes at the 2 and sometimes the 3. So already right there, it's going to be tough for him to find some playing time. And then there's also Grayson Allen, who you would think would come back, and Derek Thornton, who you would think would come back as well. But Tyus Jones from last year, no one thought he would really leave, and he ended up leaving. So you never know what's going to happen with these guys at the end of the year. So Frank Jackson really just made a decision that he liked Duke the best and he wanted to go there regardless of the playing time, which is a very respectable decision. He joins Jayson Tatum as a Duke commit. Jayson Tatum's the number 2 or 3 player in the class right now, and this is a loaded Duke recruiting class so far. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the other guys who they could get. So, as we mentioned in our last Duke video, Harry Giles and Dennis Smith are 2 guys that Duke's been looking at. Harry Giles looks to be a lock. It looks to be pretty clear. He's the number 1 player in 2016 as of now. He's been kind of going back and forth with Josh Jackson for that number 1 ranking, but for right now, he's number 1. He had his ACL repaired at Duke. It's pretty clear. Everyone in the recruiting world seems to think it's a lock. He's going to go to Duke. Now, Dennis Smith, things have changed a little bit since I last talked about Duke's recruiting class. He tore his ACL, and even before then, it was looking like he was going to go to NC State. I think NC State gives him more of an opportunity to be the lead, and it's going to be a focus on him. Now, there's still a chance he goes to Duke, but I just wouldn't count on it. I'm a huge Dennis Smith fan. I think he's going to be great. Hopefully his ACL goes well, but it's just not going to happen at Duke. Now, who else could come? Well, they're looking at 2 other bigs. They're looking at Wenyen Gabriel, who's climbed the board really fast, and he's an athletic power forward, but he can do a little bit of everything. I've seen him in his highlights. He can shoot threes. He's even had some hook shots, some mid-range. He can even take the ball and dribble it past guys. But he's just not able to do any of those things really consistently right now. He's improved a great deal, though, which is why he's climbed all the way from the 150s in the rankings to like 15 as of right now, which is absurd, and it's only been about a year. He's going to be a top 10 player by the end of the year. Now, Duke right now is favored to get him. So that would be a nice frontcourt combination of Gabriel plus Giles, if they're assuming they could get Giles as well. And then they would also most likely have Chase Jeter and Sean Obi for next year. But there's also a chance he goes to Maryland, as they've been kind of moving up the rankings for him. They've landed 2 guards for next year. A guy who's rated 65th in the class, they actually landed September 6th, Kevin Huerter. I'm not sure if I got that name right, but he's a shooting guard. He can shoot the 3 from New York. And they also landed another guard, Anthony Cowan. Now, the key here is, at Maryland, he's going to get a lot of playing time. They're going to lose Diamond Stone. He's going to go to the NBA. They're probably going to lose a couple other big men. And that Maryland team is projected to be the number 1 or number 2 team going into the 2015-2016 year. So they're going to have a lot of momentum, you would think, going up to the season, going through the season, because they're going to have a great team this year. So it's not really you would think it's going to be a 2-horse race between Maryland and Duke. And if I were to pick, I would think he's going to end up at Maryland. Now, the other big man who they're looking at is Marques Bolden. He's more of an old-school big man. He likes to play with his back to the basket. He's a dunker. He doesn't have a jump shot, but he's a strong finisher. And for those of you who watched Jahlil Okafor play at Duke last season, you'll notice that he was more of a soft finisher around the rim. He's not really going to go through contact. Well, Marques Bolden is going to go through contact, and Marques Bolden is not afraid of contact. So that's a great plus for him. He needs to work on adding some variability to his offense, but he's going to be able to play right away because of his outstanding defensive play. Alright guys, thanks for listening to what I had to say about the Duke recruiting class, and I hope to hear your comments, and please subscribe. Thank you.